In Chapter 1, we learned some basic terminology relating to statistics. In general, when we perform a study, we can either perform a study on the population or we can perform a study on a sample. So the population is all organisms, objects, or events of a specific type that are of interest. So if we are interested in the average height of all York University students, then the population would be only those that are York University students. It wouldn't make sense to measure the height of somebody that doesn't go to York University. Now, sometimes we're unable to collect data on the population. For example, if there's 60,000 students that go to York University, it would prove quite difficult to measure the average height of every person. So instead, we may need to select a sample. A sample is a subset of the population. And of course, the sample must represent the underlying population that you're interested in. So for example, maybe you choose 30 students at random from the 60,000 students that go to York University. And from there, we can try to find the average height. Now, when you choose a sample, you have to make sure they're randomly chosen samples. This is to avoid any bias. For example, if you only measure people that are in sports teams, maybe they have a higher than average height compared to everybody else in the student body. So that would have introduced bias, but by randomly selecting people from the entire university, you would have avoided that bias in selection. Now, once you collect either data on the entire population or from the sample, you can create something that's known as a parameter or statistic. If you have population data available, when you summarize that population data, that summary would be called a parameter. So a parameter is a number that summarizes data for a population, and there's lots of different types of parameters that we'll get into in later chapters. If you have a number that summarizes your sample data, that is called a statistic. And the easy way to remember this, P for population, P for parameter, S for sample, and S for statistic. So again, sometimes we're able to find the population data, in which case when we summarize it, it'll be a parameter. Other times we have to use samples, so when we summarize sample data, it's called a statistic.